Thank you. I'm very glad to welcome new Prime Minister, the Foreign Minister, members of the government here in Brussels today for the second meeting of our Association Council that comes only a few days after my visit in Tbilisi, where we already had detailed discussions on all the important issues on our agenda. In the wake of Paris attacks, we started condemning these acts and confirming our common determination to counter violent extremism and commitment to our freedoms and values. We then looked at the progress made in the implementation of the EU-Georgia Association Agreement signed in June of last year, and also some of the challenges remaining. It is clear from today's meeting that we are committed to continue Georgia's political association and economic integration with the EU. The need to guarantee a political environment that is calm and respectful is particularly important in this context. Steps or statements that would go against this need to be avoided, as we discussed also in Tbilisi last week. There needs to be an environment based on freedom of media, pluralism, respect for the rule of law and judicial independence to ensure democratic, inclusive and participatory elections. We will continue to support Georgia in its efforts to reform the judiciary and safeguard the rule of law. We also welcomed the progress made by Georgia towards visa liberalization, with many benchmarks already being fulfilled. The efforts to fulfill the remaining ones will need obviously to continue, and as I said last week in Tbilisi, I cannot anticipate the decision that will be taken, but I see very positive signs of the process in front of us. We discussed developments in Abkhazia and South Ossetia and reiterated the EU's firm support for the territorial integrity of Georgia within its internationally recognized borders. We remain firmly committed to peace, stability and conflict resolution and our policy of non-recognition and engagement in Georgia. The EU Special Representative for the South Caucasus and the crisis in Georgia, the EU co-chairmanship of the Geneva International Discussions and the EU monitoring mission are visible and substantial signs of this commitment. We also expressed appreciation for Georgia's contribution to EU-led crisis management operations and missions in Central African Republic, in Mali and in Ukraine. So let me close by saying that I'm looking forward to continue working together with you, Mr. Prime Minister, with your government, on taking our ambitious agenda forward for the mutual benefit of our citizens.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here with you today at the second meeting of the EU-Georgia Association Council. I would like to thank High Representative Mogherini and Commissioner Hahn for their warm welcome. I have greatly appreciated the opportunity to hold these interesting discussions. Today we positively assess the good progress achieved in the framework of EU-Georgia relations since the provisional application of this association agreement. And this agreement, of course, remains the top priority for us. Particularly through political association and economic integration, the pace of Georgia's comprehensive transformation and modernization process has significantly increased. Georgia has registered important achievements in areas such as the consolidation of democracy, strengthening the independence of judiciary and rule of law, fight against corruption, protection of human rights and fundamental freedoms, as well as fostering economic stability and growth. Yet we are determined to deliver more on bringing Georgia in line with the European standards. And of course, in this joint exercise, we value the EU's support, the strong support for Georgia's reform efforts, and hope for further assistance. Particularly, we count on further incentives based on differentiation and more formal principles. We strongly believe that the association agreement is an important investment in the European future of Georgia and opens new progressive ways for greater integration with the European Union. Visa liberalization is one of the critical issues on our cooperation agenda. The Georgian government has spared no effort or resources to fulfill all benchmarks of the Visa Liberalization Action Plan. And we truly hope that our accomplishments will be duly evaluated and will consequently lead to a positive decision on the EU's part to introduce a visa-free travel for Georgian citizens. And we think that such a decision will demonstrate to the people of Georgia that the European choice delivers concrete results. We had a very fruitful exchange of views on prospects for enhanced economic and trade cooperation between the two parties. In light of this, I would like to particularly stress the importance of the DCFTA, which offers us a wide range of opportunities and to ensure economic stability and generate growth, investment and employment, to promote economic modernization, and to create a favorable environment for international and local businesses. During the meeting, we also discussed the security situation in the region, in the occupied regions as well, as a matter of great concern. Despite our rational and pragmatic policy towards Russia, little progress has been achieved in political discussions. Ongoing occupation and installation of barbed wire fences and the signposts indicating the so-called state border along the occupation line are all for the aggravating situation on the ground and have serious humanitarian implications. Of course, we highly value the EU's decisive role in continued engagement in Georgia, its firm support to our sovereignty and territorial integrity, and its effective non-recognition policy. The EU plays an essential role in the Geneva discussions, particularly through the USR for South Caucasus and crisis in Georgia. As the only international monitoring mechanism on the ground, we highly appreciate the presence of the UN in our country. To conclude, I would like to reaffirm Georgia's commitment to the Eastern Partnership as a consolidated policy framework for integration with the European Union. Recalling the outcomes of the Riga Eastern Partnership Summit in May, we are ready to actively contribute towards developing strengthened, closer, and differentiated relations within the partnership. Thank you very much again.
Prime Minister, High Representative, ladies and gentlemen, I think we can look back with satisfaction at the great deal of progress we both, the European Union and Georgia, have achieved. The EU fully recognizes Georgia's reform efforts and its European aspirations. We congratulate Georgia on the good efforts already made for approximation of Georgian national law to European Union standards. We highlighted Georgia's strategic role in the field of energy and transport connectivity. The accession of Georgia to the Energy Community Treaty will be key to implement the energy dimension of the association agreement. We also welcomed our good cooperation in the area of environment and Georgia's commitment to approximating environmental legislation in line with the association agreement. The Association Council also noted the substantial EU assistance provided to Georgia to support the ambitious political, judicial and economic reforms envisaged in the association agreement and the association agenda. We now have an average of 100 million euro per year available, and I think this is a remarkable amount of money. We thanked Georgia for its active participation in the Eastern Partnership at the summit in Riga, but also for its hosting of the next informal partnership dialogue with health ministers in Tbilisi next week. This will be the first occasion to have a high-level discussion on the European Neighbourhood Policy Review, and this is also a good reason for me to be back again in Tbilisi on that occasion, and I'm looking forward to see you all again in a couple of days. Thank you.
Weekly place.
Yeah, there's a good sequence here of meetings from European officials in Tbilisi.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.